Time for our Talker segment. Today we talk about, what else, the labor situation with the teachers. And my panel today, Sandy Sharkey from Cub & Company on 93.9 Bob FM. Good morning. Good morning. Connie B from Majic 100. Good morning to you. Good morning. And Rick Gibbons from CFRA as well. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, let's talk about this these protests, strikes, one-day strikes, whatever you want to call them, and I guess the definition matters because it depends on whether or not the teachers are in a legal position to do this. Does it really matter? I mean, the people that it's affecting are students and parents. Does that help? Sandy?
Well, the fact that the students are affected to that degree too, because they keep saying, the teachers are saying, well, we're going to cut back on extracurricular activities, but everything that's important the students are still going to get. They're going to get their education, of course. Mm-hmm. Yet this isn't really what's happening. Extracurricular always seems to have an asterisk beside it of being somewhat frivolous, like all the frivolous things are being taken away. But in fact, it is more serious than that. I was reading a story about a woman who had an 8-year-old autistic child in school who last year was doing very well. This year he's not doing very well. And there were some meetings between teachers and principals that were being put together to help this boy out, and they were all canceled.
Wow.
And that isn't extracurricular, that's
But
important.
Also, extracurricular, I think a lot of people would agree, is part of a complete education. You don't just go to school. A lot of kids go to school, yes, they all go for classes and the subjects we need to learn, but some of the life lessons and things that you learn through sport, through arts, and things like that really do complete the package of an educational experience. Connie, does the action from the teachers strike any chord in you as a parent? Does it get you on their side?
I think as far as Friday is concerned, I think the word that I've been hearing from parents and just on social media is the word inconvenience. Mm-hmm. I think they would be far more support for the teachers and in their plight if it wasn't inconveniencing parents, you know, unless they're in that extended day program, which continues on Friday. A lot of parents are struggling to find daycare for their kids. Do they need to take another day off? So I think that's why a lot of parents are complaining and are not on the side of the teachers right now.
So that's what happens, I think, Rick, and you end up seeing that the kids are the only tool that I guess the teachers feel that they can use to incite action from parents, which puts pressure on the government. But my question is, what is this argument really about? The teachers run ads saying it's not about the money, that they agreed to a wage freeze. It seems to me that this argument might just be about bank sick days.
It's about that, and that's about money.
That is about money.
I think in a broader sense, it is about money. Yes, the teachers have on principle agreed to a basic wage freeze, but not a freeze of movement within the grid of a union contract. Okay. So a second-year teacher moves to a third-year teacher rate, moves to a four-year teacher rate. And over the course of a number of years, a teacher's salary can go from in the 40s to up to the 90s. So that kind of grid movement is expensive for government, and it's not included as part of the concessions made by teachers as part of a wage freeze. The other issue is, we cannot name another profession other than teachers that have enjoyed historically this benefit of banking hundreds of days of sick leave over the course of a career and cashing them out. Now, there is an attempt to put some pretty strong limitations on this capacity for younger teachers, but older teachers will still retain the right to bank an awful lot of days.
I think sick days are there for what they suggest. When you're sick, if you're not sick, it's not something that should exist anymore. That's my personal opinion. How do you feel about it, Sandy?
Well, exactly. I mean, in the real world, a lot of people, when they are ill, they don't get paid at all. Yeah. If you don't go to work, you don't get paid. And that's a big percentage of the population. And then there are people who, they do get paid when they go to work or when they're sick. But then, when you think about the extremities and how ridiculous it is, I mean, I understand that teachers right now are frustrated because basically their hands are tied.
Right.
I guess they feel that way. I understand that. But then they have to look at the rest of the people and the way that most people live and feel a little bit sorry for those people who don't get paid when they don't go to work.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are hearing this Bill 115. It's been imposed, stopping any collective bargaining rights for teachers. That's their position, and that's the issue. It seems like a pretty sneaky move from McGuinty saying, okay, slam in Bill 115 and I quit.
Yeah.
Now that leaves them truly hands tied. Do you have any kind of sympathy toward the teacher side for that?
I'm just back on the sick days because there was a story yesterday. I mean, I keep coming back to that. It's inconvenience and it's the sick days. There's one teacher that has 142 that she's banked.
Right.
And I mean, in most workplaces, if you don't use your vacation days, you lose them. So I think the sick days, you know, it doesn't really exist, like you said, anywhere else.
And that's carried as red on the books throughout.
They're unfunded liabilities.
Right.
And they're exactly the kind of thing that the government's got to get a handle on. Look, the government faces a $15 billion deficit, a mounting provincial debt that's going to put us in crisis conditions if they don't do something soon. And these are the first tiny steps of some pretty draconian measures that, whether it's the Liberal government or a future Conservative or NDP government, are going to have to take. So I think that's why you're seeing the Liberal Premier, who's always billed himself as the education Premier, going out in a bit of a messy way. I mean, he's fighting with the very unions that have always been very supportive of him. But he's got to draw a line in the sand somewhere and say, this is the start of the tough love that this province has got to endure. And if he caves here, where are we going to be in a year or two?
Well, the other thing is 2020 hindsight is always so easy, and you look back and think, well, McGuinty seemed to be in a spending spree in some of these ways, and now he's trying to clean house and clean up a little bit, try to get things in order, and using the teachers.
Well, he introduced 4-year-old kindergarten. He didn't have the money to do it. He's put it all on the provincial credit card, and now, you know, he's got to pay the pipers some other ways. So, you know.
So it's a mess all around. We agree, and the solution doesn't seem like it's anywhere in the near future.
Well, I think the future lies in the solution may lie in this Liberal leadership race now. I think tactically the unions are making a mistake. I think they should rag the puck a little bit and see who the new leader is going to be, because most of certainly the serious contenders for the leadership of the Liberal Party, who will be the next Premier, the winner, are indicating they want to restore that relationship with teachers, and maybe they take a little softer line.
Talking about sit-downs right away with union leaders. So
instead, they're breaking the law, and they're going to force even the next Premier to dig his or her heels into the sand.
And in the meantime, us parents sitting here trying, and you know, I know we have to go to break, but you said that it's an inconvenience. For some parents, it's more than an inconvenience. $70, $80 day of daycare is a real problem for some parents who budget tightly month to month, and I hope that's not lost on everybody in there. Thank you to my panel for top talkers today. We'll be back in just a moment on CTV Morning Live.